Ours is a story that builds a nation. We are central bankers, each one a player in the process of nation building. We have been around for the past 60 years and expect to be around for much longer. Can anyone even imagine the Philippines without a central bank in this progressively complex global setting? We trace our story back to January 3, 1949, when the Central Bank of the Philippines opened its doors for business. The country was struggling to rise from the devastation of the Second World War, a challenging period indeed, but one that offered rich opportunities to serve.
Both of us arrived from the States, finished in Columbia University. So we went to UP, and while we were there, the dean said, "Would you like to work in the central bank?" Of course, you cannot say no. Here is your dean offering. So when we went to see the governor, he said, "Oh, okay, you start now, immediately."
Filled with zeal and enthusiasm, and greatly inspired by the prestige that came with the badge of the central bank, our early batch of central bankers, under the leadership of First Central Bank Governor Miguel S. Cuaderno, oversaw a period of control over the country's scarce post-war resources.
We came in 6 years after the central bank was established. No? But nonetheless, it was touch and go. Data were being started to be accumulated. We have to set up the structure. It is so much different setting it up rather than having it all already established and new people would just be coming in.
Resilience, fortitude, and dedication. These traits allowed us to rise above the challenges.
It was still in the old building. That one at Pierre, Intendential building they call it. It was a very highly concrete, but not as nice as this one we have now. And then we had to walk up the stairs because elevators were very few then.
It can be said that the tone and character of central banking and central bankers were set during this formative period. The 60s, ushered in by Governor Andres P. Castillo and closed by Governor Alfonso T. Calalang, was a period of significant adjustment. The shift to a market economy continued to raise productivity, employment, and real income. New banks and types of banks emerged. Central bank regional offices were set up to support the development of the rural economy.
At the same time, mas parang pamilyang-pamilya talaga yung nandun kasi iilan lang kayo sa isang branch or regional office.
We adapted our ways and approaches to the changing scenario.
And then when there was a mission for, working with the mission to get funds from the IMF or some other consultative group, we have to stay up because of the time difference when they want to call us. So we have to stay until 2 a.m. ganon.
Balancing expansion and price stability, negotiating debt rescheduling, and strengthening depositor protection.
No machines to count our currency. So imagine, we were only using manual counting the time. And we don't have computers.
Behind the institution were the best of the best, who worked hard, but also had exciting recreational activities that provided the balance.
I would go join the bowling team. We had that also. And then there's also the pelota, with the pelota group. And proud to say that I was able to get several trophies, also in tennis and all. So everything, there was a well-rounded development program for the employees.
In one of the most challenging decades in central banking history, fourth Governor Gregorio S. Licaros was on the wheel, precariously navigating the spills of an oil crisis on the country's resources.
For the first 3 years of my banking employment with the Bangko Sentral, I saved about more than 5,000 pesos. At yan po ang ginamit ko sa paggawa ng bahay
It was the most satisfying period for us, nearly 6,000 strong, rallying our collective support in the floating of the exchange rate, establishing external debt management system, opening of FCDUs, establishing an offshore banking system, and the comprehensive reform of the financial system.
I remember ang aming report of examination before is very, very thin, maybe about a maximum of 10 pages, with no cover at all, yung report of examination. At yung mga kopya ay naka-carbon copy. Tina-type lang yun.
Wala pa kaming computer mo.
Walang computer na. Tapos minimimyo yung yung mga kopya.
So, it's hard
Tapos
to,
yung pagkukorek mo ng stencil, yung nilalagyan ng
yes.
ink na pula.
Okay.
Oo. At that
Okay.
time. So, kami mga examiner, natuto din kami mag-correct noon. Nagkukorek kami with the red ink. Para pag mimyo, tama yung mga spelling and everything.
We stood proud as the central bank began producing the country's currency and its own gold bars. But we were happiest when we moved into the new central bank complex, a house for central banking that brought all of us together under one roof. Home at last.